What's going on, everybody? John here with MachMotorsport, and it's been a minute since I recorded a video, and I apologize for my absence, but a lot of stuff has been going on and I'm not going to get into it. However, quick update on the STI. As you'll see, I've got it up in the air and I've got a lot of my interior out of it right now in the trunk space, and the reason for that is unfortunately a couple of days after taking possession. So I took possession of this vehicle on September 3rd, 2020. As a matter of fact, it was my birthday. It was my birthday gift to me. And a couple of days later, my fiance and I were heading into Niagara Falls to enjoy a weekend getaway. And as we were heading into the falls, lo and behold, some douche in a Jeep was trying to overtake somebody on the shoulder, not paying attention to traffic ahead. We were at a complete stop. And before you know it, I look in my rear view, I see this Jeep flying down the shoulder. Last minute, I see that he notices me as he merges back into traffic, slams on his brakes, and boom, rear ends me. I'll insert photos here somewhere of the damage, but suffice it to say that it was obviously not something that I wanted to have happen, especially on a vehicle that I had taken possession of a couple of days prior. And we all know when a vehicle, even when it's repaired as best as possible at the best body shops, it's never going to be 100%. And fortunately for me, my brother actually works at a body shop. He's been in the business for a number of years. And so I thoroughly trust his work. I fought with the insurance. I begged and pleaded, argued for them to just write the car off. Unfortunately, the car didn't quite meet the threshold of what was needed in order for them to determine it a total loss, because none of the airbags had gone off. And realistically speaking, as you can tell from the photos, it was more cosmetic more than anything else. And to be completely honest with you, I've had a lot of people say, you know what, man, it was not structural, it was all panels, not that big of a deal. But as you can see from the photos, we were rear-ended. The trunk lid took the brunt of all the damage. Outside of the trunk lid, the rear quarter itself was actually okay, other than being punched right here. So other than the trunk lid, a new bumper cover, the rear pan, and a couple of taillights, you know, even the windshield was still intact, the rear windshield was still intact. It wasn't really that bad. It looked worse, it felt worse when you looked at the estimate, but all in all, it really wasn't a terrible repair. And again, my brother being as experienced as he is, he felt really confident with the repair. The biggest issue for me was, and as most of you probably know, is how it affects your resale value. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I've gone through a few cars and I do like to change it up. So when I go to trade a vehicle in, the last thing you want, another ding that's going to, in essence, hurt you in terms of the resale value of the vehicle. And naturally, because this was all done through the insurance, it's all documented, it's recorded, they're all aware as to what's happening. It's going to be on a car proof, on a Carfax, or whatever history you look up, it's going to be there. And unfortunately, the cost of the repair was a pretty steep one. And part of that was because I insisted on only Subaru parts and panels be used, and I insisted that every conceivable clip, everything, every piece of hardware be replaced with OEM Subaru. I did not want generic clips or reused hardware. I was adamant about all new hardware. I'm contemplating, okay, now that I've had this hit, like, how bad is it? Is this going to be something where I'm going to drive the vehicle out, use it just as a daily, get my money out of the car, get my use and enjoyment out of the car, and get rid of it? The idea behind this car was for it to be more of a long-term project. I, in essence, wanted to keep this until it was essentially rendered valueless, basically, and then essentially make it a track car or a weekend car, whatever the case may be. I'm kind of at a point right now where I'm trying to determine whether or not this is going to be something I'm going to build on, or if it's something that, again, I'm going to probably just maintain as a daily, get my money out of it. So I haven't fully decided yet, but either way, I wanted to take an opportunity today to assess the repair, kind of go over it, because a lot of body shops and a lot of repair jobs, they'll make it look good from what you can see with the naked eye. It's what you can't see with the naked eye that really counts. So I decided today, let's pull it up, get it up in the air, and have a look. And you're gonna follow along and see what's going on. So, as you can see here, I've already started to remove some of the interior panels. So just as you know, we're all familiar. Bumper cover was replaced. This rear pan was replaced here. The trunk lid was replaced, okay? And they could have repaired this. However, it needed a new light housing socket thing, and they felt it was best to replace the rear quarter panel. Now, I was kind of apprehensive because you never know how it's going to be replaced. They got to section it in. Is it ever going to be done right? And fortunately for me, as I mentioned earlier, my brother being at the body shop and being in the business, he sent me videos, which I'll probably bloop in here as well, videos and photos of the progress as the repair went on. And I'm actually really delightfully surprised with how well this has actually turned out. So there's always going to be little things because my OCD is crazy and I'm going to nitpick at, like for instance, you know, the bolts, all the paint's been removed from the bolts, but that's easy. You know, you can always touch that up with a little bit of white paint yourself, but it just doesn't look OEM, right? And that's obviously something that's not the end of the world, but again, something that I'm nitpicky about. However, when we look inside, as you can see, the rear pan was completely replaced. So that's this section here. They reused, or sorry, not reused, but they applied new OEM silicone, or you know, around it, so that it gives it that OEM finish. And then they've gone ahead and rust proofed it or thrown in some oil spray. There's the rear quarter. As a matter of fact, you can see the sticker on it that it's been replaced, as well as the taillight housing. There's a sticker there, new taillights. But looking around, you can see everything is looking pretty good. Even when we look into the wheel arch there, I'll get my light here, you can see that, you know, new body sealer or seam sealer was applied, and it's all looking pretty good there. So I'm pretty happy with everything from what I can see. Again, from the naked eye, you know, everything is looking pretty good. And further to that, when they reapplied and they put this new sealer on, they actually put sealer inside this so the seam is completely watertight. So I'm happy about that. So the rear quarter was replaced. Naturally, the inside shell, or the inside skin rather, was maintained, and this is just an outside skin. So they would seam it here, and as you can see here, they've used, you know, OEM body sealer here, and then it was sectioned basically here, and then down here. So, which is virtually undetectable. Like, again, I pulled away the weather stripping and everything, and you can't for the life of me, like, it's undetectable. Now, because I'm super OCD and super picky, when they did the job, naturally they had to blend in the paintwork. Being the color that this is with the pearlescence in it, it's never going to be 100%. There's always going to be an off color. They originally did the job, and when they blended it, it was detectable in certain lights. So in certain sunlight, certain angles, you could really see it. So I was adamant that they do it again, and they still didn't get it right. So guess who got, the entire car has been resprayed. And when we mean resprayed, it was all taken apart, all the trim work was removed, the handles were removed, the mirrors were removed, everything was removed and done properly. If anything, for all you Subaru owners out there, you'll know that OEM Subaru paint is not necessarily the best quality. It's been completely resprayed. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that the paint now is better than OEM. We're going to inspect inside that wheel arch, and we're going to look underneath the vehicle and just have a look at the rear pan where it was put in. And then that's it. As long as everything is looking good from there, I can satisfy my interests in knowing that, hey, this is looking good. It's going to be as resilient to rust or corrosion as it would be from brand new, because no car is ever going to resist rust unless it's made out of carbon fiber or aluminum or plastic. We're back here. I've gone ahead and I've removed, in addition to the interior panels, I've gone ahead and I've removed the inner liner and part of the bumper liner here to just have a look, and I'll bring you along. So as you can see, the inner liner has been removed. So it kind of exposes all of this. Had a look underneath. Now, again, they replaced the outer panel or the outer skin. So this inside skin is the original. There was no need to replace that. There was no need to replace this because obviously it wasn't affected by the impact. So I've gotten underneath it. I'm just bringing you along for the tour here. And everything is looking pretty good. I've had a look. They've actually used liberal coats of underspraying everywhere, or oil spray to help coat that. So the only area I could find where they obviously joined the seams is right here, and it was behind a panel. And you could see, if I can get close enough, you can see those bare metal there. So that's where they scraped the paint to, weld the two panels together. If I flip over here, in between here, you might not be able to see it, but it's all good there, seam sealed. Again, they've well sprayed it and whatnot. And then where the panels bond here, it all looks good. So no issues there whatsoever. So that's all looking good. If I could get over here, crawl around on the floor and get tools for this. So you can see here, this is where that rear pan was kind of put into its place there. So you can see that, that's all looking good as well. No issues there whatsoever. It's all pretty tidy, and again, they used rust proofing where they could, which I'm happy about. And then again, if I switch over this way, where the seams connect at the pinch weld down here, it's all looking pretty good. So yeah, pretty happy with that. What I'm going to do is that area where there's exposed metal, we're going to clean that up with a wire wheel, get out what we can, remove any, there's just a tiny bit of surface rust that most of it actually cleaned up with a little bit of paint thinner. So I'm not too worried about it. So we're going to use these two guys here, good old rust check primer, to just kind of coat the surface, obviously as a base, and a sealer, and then some rubberized asphalt coating just to kind of prevent any moisture from getting in. So I feel that between that should pretty much take care of that, and I shouldn't have any other issues. Just going to clean that here, a little schmutz on the lens. Yeah, but all in all, my findings, to be honest with you, again, I was anticipating far worse. Not a knock on the body shop or, obviously my brother's ability to do the work, but, like I said, typically speaking, we're all human. At the end of the day, they've got deadlines. They've got to get that repaired in a certain time frame. And, when somebody is doing a job and then they leave it for the night, come back to it the following day, it's always like, well, where did I leave off? Again, we're human. Nobody's perfect. And I've seen a dozen body jobs done before. My Type R, for instance, when the rear quarter was repaired after the highway debris hit it, I've been back and forth to a body shop, 4 times over the course of 4 months. 4 or 5 times over the course of 4 months, and they still couldn't get it right. So, and if you looked, at the end of the day when it was all completed, I still wasn't happy with it, but it was as good as it was going to get, short from being done out of the factory. So there's only so much you can do. That being said, in closing, I'm extremely pleased with what they've done here. I feel that, it could have been much worse, and I feel they were as thorough as they could be in the repair, and I'm content. My findings are not showing anything that's out of the ordinary, and I feel satisfied in knowing that over the long term, the vehicle is going to be as good as any factory vehicle would be. I don't think I'm going to see obvious signs of corrosion or anything like that, or premature signs of corrosion over and above maybe the factory. And again, that is, I suppose, to be determined over time, but all in all, things are looking pretty good at this point. So we're going to coat that up, let it dry. That should be good. Put everything back together. And until the next video, thanks again for watching. Always like and subscribe. Leave a comment. We'll see you in the next one.